Mr. Wonderfuls,
Yes.
before you tell me I am a roach, I'm gonna tell you what.
I didn't say you're a cockroach in the soap business.
Not a roach, but we are like a butterfly and a bee. My wife is so beautiful.
Oh my God, I love that.
Wow, destiny,
Oh,
karma.
you got game, Hugo. You got game.
Oh, honey.
Welcome to the Shark Tank Podcast. Each week, one of the best entrepreneurs from ABC's network smash hit Shark Tank teaches you how to swim with the sharks without being eaten alive. And now your host, serial entrepreneur, TJ Hale.
It's time to jump in.
No matter what happens, you guys have each other, so your life is golden.
They still have to pay their rent, baby.
Hey, everybody. Thanks for jumping into the Shark Tank podcast. I got an exciting couple today. The company is Saavy Naturals. The entrepreneurs are Deborah and Hugo Saavedra. And you're going to remember them because they were like the cutest couple of all time from Shark Tank. And they just happen to be exploding in terms of business sales and their partnership with Barbara Corcoran. So Hugo, Barbara, hello, welcome. How are you?
Hi, thanks.
Thank you very much for having us. Really an incredible pleasure to speak with you.
Well, it's an honor to have you. And I want to start with the comment I made about you being the quintessential couple. Did you get a call from eHarmony to do like a sponsorship commercial for them or anything after you aired?
You know, it's funny you say that. We hear that a lot, and we're kind of a little bit surprised just because we didn't walk out there thinking, oh, let's be lovebirds on Shark Tank, right? So it's just really a testament to us of our partnership.
Well, Deborah, maybe you didn't think that, but
personal.
Hugo, I think, had a different idea. When he starts telling the story about the butterfly and the bee and the beauty of my wife and how everyone's mesmerized by her, I'm thinking, Hugo is a genius. This is a smart man right here. Wish I thought of
Well,
that.
like Mark Cuban says, he's got game.
He's got game. Yeah, I'm going to put that clip on the intro to your show. Definitely. I loved it. I was dying. So, I think it's funny because I talk to my wife sometimes, and if you ever tell someone else who maybe doesn't feel the same way about their spouse how much you love yours and how she's perfect, and you get really kind of gooey, you get a strange reaction sometimes, right? Like a lot of people don't feel that way about their spouse. So I've told my wife, I go, sometimes I just don't even feel comfortable bringing it up because I don't want to make people feel bad. Maybe that's what you did. Collectively, a lot of people felt bad that you're so in love and maybe they should try harder to be more in love with their spouse. Do you think that has anything to do with it?
Oh.
Thank you. A couple of days ago, a lady came and says, I was in pins and needles watching at you and crying all this time. And the guy says, Hugo, you and your wife inspire us, to be a man, as a couple and your relationship and what you guys are building. It's incredible, very touching to see the response from people.
Well, good for you. And it made great TV. So I'm sure Shark Tank was doubly thrilled that you guys were so wonderful on the show. And, it's funny because I think it is inspiring. And also you had backgrounds where you were married to someone else. Barbara and Lori started almost crying in sync when you said that you had been married. I think it was you met 23 years ago. You were married 10 years ago to each other after Hugo called you up out of the blue and said, by the way, all this time I've been madly in love with you. I wasn't going to spend so much time on this, but it is a lot of fun. Let's talk about it. So it was 17 years ago you made the call, Hugo, or I know you've been married for 10 years, so help me out here.
Well, yes, around 13, 14 years ago. That's when I called. Around 18 years prior, we date each other, and we went different ways, and I never stopped thinking about Deborah. And happened that she was single at that time too. And I called a couple of times. I never reached. I didn't leave my name. I left another name. I said, "This is Carlos." I was afraid, and I was calling her mom's home. I found the number. I don't know how I didn't know where. I knew that she was from Florida. I remember Jacksonville, St. Petersburg, whatever.
Oh, this is before Facebook, so you had to do some legitimate stalking to track her down.
Exactly.
Exactly. And I go to my mom's house and she keeps giving me messages from Carlos. And I'm like, I don't know no Carlos.
Wow.
And one day I called and her mom answered the phone and I said, this is Carlos. And looks like she says, this guy Carlos is calling back. Talk to him.
He called one day when I was at my mom's house. So finally we connected.
Wow, that took an interesting turn with the Carlos aspect. That escalated quickly. But it's fair play because women give fake numbers and men give fake names, right?
I guess so. I guess you're right.
That's pretty funny. I wasn't expecting it to restart off under that tone. But so I think the main takeaway for me was that you had this experience in this industry with these types of products. In fact, you did $17 million in sales with Whole Foods over a period of how long?
Whole Foods sold in 1 year $17 million worth of our products.
In 1 year? Okay.
But not only Whole Foods, we create an incredible name through the whole entire natural industry.
And then you were able, so now you're rebranding, you've reopened Saavy Naturals, and you're kind of using a lot of those lessons and the experience that you have to knock that number out of the water. So I want to focus on Saavy's story, kind of starting with, how you got on Shark Tank and essentially what's happened since that time. Because I know in the pregame, you told me some really exciting things that you're doing. So how did you get on the show?
We're very driven and we want to create something better than anything we ever did. And we applied last year, but was too late. And then this year, from January 1st, I start checking to see the auditions of Shark Tank. And in the moment I saw the first audition, I think in Minneapolis, Minnesota, somewhere, right away, I emailed the people from Shark Tank. I want to be in your show. And, for maybe 2 or 3 weeks, I didn't hear nothing. And another email. Finally, somebody responded to me, wants to talk to me. I talked to this lady for almost 2 hours, one of the producers for Shark Tank. And after that, everything was history.
Hugo is nothing if not persistent.
Yeah, sounds like it.
He was on it. He was checking that website at least once a week for months.
But I believe that Shark Tank is an incredible show about businesses and creating, which is the heart of the economy, is entrepreneurs that create jobs.
I agree.
And Shark Tank is the boiling pot of a beautiful soup that happened for entrepreneurs in America.
I have a client who I went out to dinner with last night, and they were telling me how their daughter, who's 10 years old, has been watching Shark Tank her entire life. And so they start telling us these stories because, I write for some periodicals on my blog, and there's always the naysayers who go, oh, well, Shark Tank valuations are ridiculous and the sharks are publicity, bad words. And, they say a lot of negative things about some aspects of the show. And I always tell them to look past that. Like, it's a cultural phenomenon that's sorely needed. And this is an example. The young lady who's 6 or 7, the first time she tried an entrepreneurial venture was she did a lemonade stand, she did a bake sale. They said that this last fall, she went around to their neighbors in this area of New York and started offering a pumpkin carving service, particularly for the elderly in the neighborhood who might not think that that's a lot of fun to go out and carve pumpkins anymore. And she was charging $8 a pumpkin, and she made like $200 carving pumpkins for all their neighbors that were over 50.
Awesome.
Not that that's elderly, but just people who maybe didn't have young kids or et cetera. And then she did a bake sale a couple weeks later and made a couple $100s. We're talking about a kid who's like 8 years old. And she'll critique some of the pitches and she'll talk about who she wants to work with this shark. And I said, these are the types of people that, they're not going to learn that in public school. They're not going to learn it from friends unless they have entrepreneurial associates or colleagues or whatever, but that's a seed that she's going to plant that'll turn into a mighty oak someday. And that just excites me to hear that. So I think, Hugo, you're right on the money. What I'm curious about is, Deborah, were you kind of in the other room biting your nails? Were you nervous about Shark Tank, or were you all for it and just letting them do the heavy lifting in terms of contacting the producers?
I was all for it and very excited about it. As a matter of fact, I reached out to my friend Kelly from Purse Case and asked her to help us do a video if we got to that point, which we did. So that was super cool that we got her help to do our audition video. And one day, if you ever see it, you'll have a good laugh, let me tell you.
The first one, or the before or the after? I think she mentioned this to me.
The before, the full Monty audition tape for us where, they tell you to be like you're on an infomercial. And I really took that to heart.
Did you dress up as Billy Mays Hayes and start shouting, or was it?
Not quite that far, but
almost.
We had a really good time doing the video, and no, I was all for it. But I couldn't believe how quickly things moved once we got our foot in the door, so to speak.
Well, good for you. So you didn't end up having to go to the open call. They contacted you and they preempted that. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So your segment was extremely interesting. I think there's a lot of great takeaways from it, especially in terms of you locking up a deal after Barbara was out and then having her come back in. So let's talk about the negotiation. And it seemed like your optimal deal was with Barbara. Can you tell me, when you were walking in there, what was your attitude? What did you say? You know what, if we leave here with this, we're going to be happy. What was that?
Speaking for myself, if we left there with Barbara as our partner and owning the majority stake in our company, that I was going to be super happy. So how about you, Hugo?
Yeah, the same thing. We really want Barbara, especially Deborah, and I follow her lead on all things like that. She has much more common sense than me.
Oh, come on. Just a woman's intuition, that's all.
Right. But we love what happened there. We really did.
Yeah, it was hard for me to turn her down on the 50%, but that was the boundary for us. We were, as we talked about in the segment, we had given up majority interest in our previous company and ended up parting ways with those partners and starting over with Saavy. So, lesson learned there, and just was not. That was the boundary. That was the firm boundary. So it was tough to say, but knew that going in, couldn't do that.
Yeah, it was very interesting that you stuck to your guns. And I think that's always going to be respected from someone, especially if they have more experience in the industry than you do, that, you're someone who knows what you want and you're not afraid to stick to your boundaries, because ultimately it worked out even better for you by doing that. And hardly ever does a shark come out of being, quote, out to do a deal. And I want to talk about that too, because I think Robert really took one for the team during your segment, which is kind of been his modus operandi.
We like Robert a lot. We both like Robert a lot, and he was, he was awesome to come back in with his offer. And you don't see it in the edited clip, but we both thanked him very much for his offer. We even had someone Facebook about that, and I'm like, we actually did thank him.
But Robert is really understood exactly where this company can go. He saw the whole vision, because we are not only like Mr. Wonderful says, it's only a freaking soap, but we're much more than a soap. We only can show some soap, some scrubs, some lotion, but we have the whole gamut of incredible products that we produce that we didn't show on the show. We didn't bring.
That's surprising, because your display was beautiful. It looked like I wanted to eat everything on the table. I didn't know if I want to eat it or shave it into the bathtub and then just take a bubble bath with it. But yeah, it was impressive. So you asked for $200,000 for 10%, and we'll start with what you commented about Kevin. He basically said that if any of the sharks made you an offer at that valuation, they wouldn't be sharks, they'd be bankrupt. And he based that off the fact that the sales in the last year were not quite high enough to merit it. Even though you had $750,000 in sales, I think the profit was somewhere around 100. I think the net was somewhere around 100,000. Is that right?
Yes, something like that. But what happened is we just started business. We put everything to put the cement in to grow something very incredible and unique. We know we have a relationship that is a jewel, and also we have things that we haven't tapped yet.
Yeah, and that's where you said that to Kevin. And he said, well, kumbaya, cash flow. He doesn't want to hear about how amazing it is. He wants to see the green. My question as a viewer was, so at this point, it comes out that you've collected about $350,000 to $400,000 that you've taken on as debt to help you start the company. And that's great that you had the ability to do that, or you knew people who could help you or believed in you that much. Why did it take $400,000 to get the company started? You know your product. You know how to get it, you know how to build it, you know how to sell it. Where was the majority of that expense invested in, if you can answer that?
Yeah, in manufacturing facility, we need to make every single thing in a big kitchen of a restaurant. And when you open a restaurant, you need a lot of infrastructure.
So basically, we built out our manufacturing plant to a capacity that we can do, with the equipment and the facility that we have in place, we can do up to $10 million a year here.
Oh, wow. So you leased a space that was, gray or vanilla shell, and you built it all
Correct.
yourselves. Just
exactly.
Okay,
correct. And and we are building a national brand, a global brand. And to do that, you need to compete with huge multi-billion-dollar companies. And when you go into business to a retailer wants, for the first time, a lot from you. And that is money that goes into that. It's like, but we build that, and now the good things are coming, we have our name, we have our reputation, we bring creativity and innovation like nobody else does. And we can command now a good placement in a retail stores.
What was your staff size when you had invested the $400,000? In the first year, you did quite a bit in sales. How many people does it take to run that operation?
We did it with 6-7 people.
Very small team to start.
Okay, and let's go down some of the objections or criticisms or offers, et cetera, that you got while you were in the tank, the ones that we saw on TV. So after Kevin mentioned that not only are you worth about $400,000 in his opinion due to the after-tax net in that year, which Robert said was unfair, but that's what Kevin asserted. He said, because of the debt, you have no value and I'm out. So Mr. Wonderful's out of the way. Mark Cuban was next, and he said that because of Simple Sugars Organics, who I've had Lonnie on the show, she's a great girl, but he felt like it was competitive. And when he went out, it looked like you tried to offer a rebuttal to that, but they cut you short. Was there an effort for you to try to get Mark to stay in and do a deal with him, or did you always know that he was going to be a long shot because of his deal with Simple Sugars Scrubs?
No, really, I don't think it has a competition with Simple Sugars. Our brand has an incredible array of products that are different. We have the scrubs that we are similar, but we are not a scrub company, or we are not a soap company only. We have shampoo and conditioner. We have lotion. We have candles. We have and what is in the pipeline. We're going to have a baby line. We are going to have a men's line. We have a brand that is a global brand. It's completely different than one SKU with a couple of different names. We are much more than that. But I couldn't explain that.
Yeah, there was no rebuttal with Mark. We accepted his going out, and that was all that happened.
Okay, so that case wasn't actually made, and we just didn't miss it. It never happened.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
All right, so Lori then said, hey, you guys are romantic. I love romance, and no matter what happens, you have each other, which was an interesting way to go out. But I love Barbara's comment after. She said, you still got to pay the rent, baby.
I love Barbara's comment then, too. It's so true, and exactly what was in my head, too.
I want to auto-tune that. You still got to pay the rent, baby, and put that on YouTube. It was fantastic. So, Kevin, when you asked Barbara to step in and do her magic, Kevin warned you that she's terrible with numbers, which I hear a lot, actually, and she doesn't seem to mind being made fun of about it. But she rebutted that she's great with people, She asked you if you changed the name, if you were willing to take her suggestions, and then she made you a really painful offer of $200,000 for 50% before they went to commercial break. So at this point, is there anything we'd missed, or were you heartbroken that she wanted half your company after hearing your story about having the rug pulled out from underneath you before? I mean, where are you at this point?
Well, I was definitely on the edge of the cliff kind of feeling, because I wanted to walk away with the deal with Barbara big time, but just knew that was 50% was going to be more than we could give up. And having had that arranged, in my head ahead of time, I was prepared to turn it down and walk away. So yeah, it was really tough. It was really tough.
So they come back from commercial break, and you ask her if she's willing to do it for less. You're not willing to give up 50%. And she immediately says, I'm out, at least in the edit. And then Robert steps up to the plate and he lays down a sacrifice bunt for the cause. He bunted you guys into home base with Barbara. I was dying. Why? Because Robert, as you said earlier, everyone loves Robert. He's everyone's favorite shark. He was mine when I started doing the show, but he's having a hard time getting anyone to do a deal with him. And in this case, he bunted you guys into a scoring position with Barbara. So take us through that a little bit.
Yeah, we really, when he started talking about another company, the Honest Company, and what the company is building and what they are doing.
That's Jessica Alba, for those who aren't familiar with Honest.
Correct. And I understood right there that he understood what is our vision, that we are not only a sub company, we are much more than that, and what is the potential, But, and I feel very bad for him because I really like him, but we went with one consignment that was Barbara need to be with us, and I think he opened Barbara's eyes with that comment.
I think he did too.
The willingness to take us, for 45%. I think he opened her eyes.
Not only did she jump back in, she kind of stuttered a little bit. Said she stammered into the deal. Said, "I'm going to edit my offer." And so he offered you 45%. Now she's at 40%, offering $100,000 in cash and amending the second $100,000 to be for funding of purchase orders, with a promise that she continue to do so in the future. In my opinion, if I'm looking at funding my inventory, that's a done deal. If I'm happy with the percentage, because that's what I want, a commitment that she's going to fund orders as I grow.
Absolutely.
And that was the offer that you took. Kicked Robert to the curb, and you and Barbara hugged it out. And then at the end, during the wrap up, you said you'd been sending telepathic messages to Barbara, and I think she heard me. And I turned to my wife and said, "No, but Robert did." And he laid himself on the altar. What a nice guy.
No. I really believe, because knowing Deborah, that's who she is.
Aww.
Okay? Believe me, it's like that happened. And Barbara and Deborah share the same birthday. Also,
no kidding.
We have everything was laid out for Barbara.
Did you tell her that while you were there, or did you wait till after?
I did.
I'm sure Barbara didn't want anything about her birthday being aired on TV, so that's why we didn't see it. No, I'm joking. Well, that was great. I was very happy to see that you got the deal. I was concerned afterwards that the deal might not go through because Barbara made that late-minute decision to come in. And Lori does this sometimes. It happened a couple weeks ago, where if the Sharks are competing to close a deal on TV, oftentimes they make an offer that they're not that happy with, and then they'll back down from it later. But you told me in the pregame that the good news is happening. What, did you already sign the deal? You're about to sign it. Everything's moving forward. Tell us what's going on now.
The attorney's gone back and forth and due diligence and whatnot. And we just got word first thing this morning from our attorney that we're both signing today. So it's very propitious to be talking with you today on the day that we are actually penning our deal with Barbara. Woo-hoo!
How about that? So, well, two things. One, if you get a text, are you going to hang up on me and have to run to sign papers? Because I don't want that to happen.
No, we're good.
Okay. And two, when's the party? Maybe I'll just Uber my way over there. And are you having is it a celebration, or are you guys all business now that it's serious?
I know, right? We're definitely going to be celebrating tonight, TJ.
But also, we have to mind business, because she's a smart lady all the way. And I believe she's good with number 2. and our company changed dramatically in the last 3.5 weeks.
Well, and that's the reason we're actually having this conversation. I wanted to go through the Shark Tank appearance and talk about some of the constructive criticism, but really you two are in a very unique position. I talk about some of the same topics on the show in terms of how you've grown your business, what you've learned from the experience, how other entrepreneurs can learn from your Shark Tank tsunami. But what's unique about you is you've already kind of been there, done that, and then you hit the reset button. You know, I referred to you as having the rug pulled out from underneath you. And I think that we haven't talked enough about people who are in the audience who are in that position where they've been very successful and now they're looking forward at an uncertain future and thinking, okay, can I do this again? What do I do now? How do I take this experience and move forward with it? Whether that's a marriage that doesn't work out or whether that's a business that didn't work out or had an unpredictable ending. You guys have done both of them. So let's talk about starting anew, starting fresh. How did you take advantage of the Shark Tank tsunami? How have you changed your business since you were on Shark Tank? And what has Barbara brought to the company? Let's tackle this one at a time.
The first thing is to never give up in everything you do. If you believe that you have the vision and the will, don't ever give up. Life will give you another chance. And we are accepting that chances with our arms way open. We believe that things happen for a reason in life, and we bring, abundance and creativity to the next level with our products. And we are so incredible what happened. We are growing internationally because Shark Tank is open doors internationally. We just launched in Canada. I believe because we launched around 5 months ago with Ulta, and a couple of days ago we found out that they are given an incredible amount of more store. I believe that is because of Shark Tank appearance.
Yeah, you don't hear Ulta very often with Shark Tank, honestly. I mean, I do the podcast. We hardly ever talk about them. That's great.
Yeah, Ulta is an incredible company with 1,000+ stores, incredible relationship. They love what we are doing. The buyer of Ulta, they adore that we are 100% natural, vegan, gluten-free, soy-free.
And they're growing fast. They're opening stores like every month.
Every week.
Yeah, they can thank my wife. They should send us a Christmas card, Ulta, if you're listening.
And, and they opened it last Wednesday before Thanksgiving. We got an email. They are expanding our proposition to a lot of more stores.
Yeah, we had made it through the test phase of 17 stores, and now they're blasting us out to a couple hundred more stores, which is just beautiful timing. And
I believe that is because Shark Tank.
Excellent.
Okay. We also opened a store that is doing amazing in Huntington Beach in Pacific City. Even the mayor of Pacific City and the pro tem mayor were talking about Saavy Naturals in the council meeting.
I love that. I mentioned to you in pregame that I have family in Huntington Beach. I basically grew up there during the summers, and I'm coming to say hi to you next time I come by. And are you in the store, or are you up in your ivory tower just kind of pulling the levers?
We've been in the store a lot the last couple of weeks. It opened the day before our Shark Tank episode aired, and we didn't know the timing was going to work out so perfectly. But we've been really spending a lot of time down at the store the last couple of weeks. But going forward, we'll probably be down there more like once a week.
You don't live in, I talked to Kelly. I thought you lived further up north in the LA area.
We live in the valley. It's like an 1.5-hour drive to our shop.
Yeah, it's a little rough. It's an 1.5 hour on a holiday, right? I mean,
yes, correct. On the 405, sometimes it's 3 hours.
So, how did you decide on Pacific City? Usually, it's hey, you know what? I'd love to be in Huntington Beach, but it's 2 hours away. I might as well do it in Sacramento. So let's put one in Santa Monica. How did you decide on Pacific City?
You know what? Everything comes because relationships. People that run Pacific City, they knew about us, they knew about our products, and they knew we were working with Shark Tank, and that, and they offered an incredible deal for us to be there, and
it was just a perfect place. The demographic and the branding of even the shopping center, is really aligned with our branding and stuff. It's just like it was meant to be.
Fantastic. I love it. So you mentioned Canada. Is that Whole Foods or is that Ulta? Just real quick, because I wasn't sure on that.
Whole Foods special, and a lot of the largest distributors in Canada. They are bringing the line into every major retailers in the whole entire Canada.
Okay, so it's distributors that are taking you over the Canadian line.
Yeah,
right.
And Whole Food is special.
Okay. Let's spend a couple minutes talking about Barbara. When people ask me, so I've had Barbara on the show, gotten the opportunity to chat with her. A lot of fun. I had her and Lori on at the same time, right? So, and I'll link to that in the show notes for people who haven't heard it. And it was an interesting contrast because Lori is very prim, proper, and by the book. And Barbara is essentially one step away from crazy because she's funny, she's hilarious, she's irreverent. She's my cup of tea, bottom line. And the entrepreneurs that I know that work with her, they adore her. So since your deal is about to close, I know that maybe she hasn't exactly been in the trenches with you, but you did tell me she's brought some value to the company. So let's talk about what she's done. Because for people who can't work with Barbara, maybe they can learn what the direction they should take from you.
So most recently, she talked about us in glowing terms on none other than Good Morning America.
Hello.
She talked about how amazing we are, and if you were standing before us, you would invest in us too.
And she's going to make a fortune with us.
Yes. So I mean,
well, you love to hear that, right? That's got to make you feel good.
It's beautiful, yes. And in Good Morning America, and they show some clips from our appearance in Shark Tank, and she brings a lot of other stuff, like, it was already, we're talking to people in her team that are...
Yeah, we haven't even, we've been very transparent. We haven't even, officially closed our deal with her, and we've already gotten lots of help from her. We've talked to our contact there, her team, like at least once a week since we were on the show.
Yeah, good for you. Let's talk about some of the actual changes to the business or things that have happened as a result of being on Shark Tank. So is there any advice that you did to change? I didn't hear you need to change your packaging or this product doesn't taste as good as the other flavor. How versatile have you been in making changes to the business since your Shark Tank airing? Let's talk about some of those things that you implemented.
Yeah, the most important changes is the new people, to train new people, or to have our philosophy on customer service, on quality, to wow the consumer, and that takes time. It's like we're putting a grease to all the wheels, and that's what the major stuff that we have is bringing new people on board and train them with our philosophy of wow the consumer with the most incredible pure product that we can make. And that is the major things that we are doing right now.
So one thing I definitely want to talk about is this idea of taking on partners. Now, you got into a little bit of hot water before, and I'm sure there's things you would have done differently. So for those people out there who are looking at taking on a partner, who are looking for investment capital, and it's going to come with an equity and an active partnership, what kind of advice would you have for people who really maybe don't know exactly what the right direction is, but they know that they need help?
And the most important thing for me is look at the integrity of the partnership, and be crystal clear in everything that you do. But the most important thing is integrity. Integrity, and integrity. And follow your gut feeling, okay? And push yourself to see, we already at least myself, the first time I spoke after the Shark Tank with Barbara, I knew that person was the right person to be with us. And that makes you, come from your gut feeling of what you're looking for in a partnership.
Yeah, and I would encourage other entrepreneurs in that situation to not be shy to ask questions And just like anything else, you're basically shopping around for, like if I'm buying something online, I'll go to Yelp and see what the reviews are. I want to talk and hear from other people who have partnered with those people and what their experience has been. I think that's probably the best advice I could give.
Love it. It's similar to what I tell my clients. Look, there's a million tools out there and there's a million people who want to help you with something. You have to make sure you're getting into a marriage with them. Would you marry them? Would you camp with them? Would you let them watch your kids? If those things are important, even if you don't immediately recognize the long-term effect of the partnership.
Exactly. You said it.
Now, there is one thing that came up that I think listeners probably are definitely going to want to know. There's a lot of people who would die to have the exposure that you have with Whole Foods. So let's talk about the genesis of those types of relationships, how you made it, how you nurture it, how you parlay that to other large retailers. Help them out with that.
Whole Food for us always was the window to the world. We knew that we need to polish, we need to work, and we build relationships, and and we are blessed to do that every single day. But we know that also Whole Foods is not everything, but Whole Foods is a very big tool in a big sea. And
we started out years ago just partnering with them at our local Whole Foods, near where we live and shop, and going to the whole body team leader there and just saying, hey, would you give us a shot? And back then, I don't even know if they still have this now, but they had what was called a local vendor program.
Right.
And we came in under the local vendor program, and we hit it out of the park so big that we quickly went to like many other regions from there.
And we visit every store in the whole entire country for Whole Foods.
Whoa, no kidding.
No, and nobody did that before ever. And Deborah and I, if you go to any Whole Food in the country, to Whole Body, the only thing you need to say to them, do you know Hugo, Deborah? And they will tell you all about us.
So if I can only go to one Whole Foods store, which one should I go to?
Any Whole Food that you want to, and you can ask who is Hugo and Deborah, and they will tell you, and it's because we grow our brand from the bottom up, talking to the customer, talking to the team members at the store level, and we build our name and reputation like that. I
think the CEO of Costco would be very impressed. He's the guy that would go to random stores and just put a name tag on, start walking around and see how everything was going. He's probably done more visits than he has.
Yeah.
You know what? This has been fantastic information. I think the story is amazing. I'm excited to find out where you're going to take this company. It's clear the vision is in place. Let's do a little bit of hard numbers in terms of, you gave the Sharks the info that you did $750,000 in the year leading up to that. You've had a lot of exposure. You're doing retail. Talk to us either about the Shark Tank tsunami and what the sales were like after the show, or what you maybe expect to do before the end of this year. Give us some idea of how fast the company's growing.
I believe that we're going to do it since the show airs till December 31st. $500,000 on sale. We just finished the best month, November, and we are gonna, with our new sales in the internet, our store doing so fantastic, and the most retailer that we are adding, we're gonna quadruple or sell next year or more.
That's fantastic. So you had a big November, record-breaking November?
Best month yet.
Yeah.
That's a good sign.
And everything that's coming is really, with all the stores from Ulta, that we just got the PO on Wednesday. December is going to be triple the amount that we did in November.
Oh, wow. And actually, that leads me to one other question that came up on Shark Tank. They talked about how you're not selling online. And that was interesting to me, that you have a website and maybe you just didn't have e-commerce set up yet. Was that intentional that you weren't selling online, or was there some kind of issue?
We actually were selling online I think Hugo meant to say we weren't doing very much business online.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it came across like we weren't doing any business online.
Yeah, you need to understand that my English is I come from Macon, Georgia, and that's the way we speak.
Wait, did you say Mexico and Georgia or Mexico, Georgia?
Macon. Do you know Macon, Georgia?
Oh, Macon, Georgia. Yeah, no, I've seen it on TV. That's where all the zombies are, right?
No, what happened is I tried to say that we have a very little business, and that was a low-hanging fruit. Okay, and everybody took it like we don't have no website, and we had a lot of complaints. People, when you gonna sell online?
But we actually had we hadn't done much with our website at all. We were doing very, 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 very little business online. But since Shark Tank, we've
explode everything, and people are funding us, and we just launched a brand new website a week ago.
I heard a dirty rumor that you got so much traffic the night of your airing that your site actually crashed. Is that true?
Completely crashed and destroyed.
Yeah, we don't even like talking about it. It's so
I imagine
painful.
not.
It's so painful.
How long was it down?
True story.
Was for almost a week.
Oh, so it never came back up at all?
Yeah, it came back and forth.
It came back in spurts.
Yeah.
I thought it was just down for like one time zone. I didn't realize it was down.
No, in every single was back and forth.
Oh, no. All right. Well, I'm telling my listeners right now, sharktankpodcast.net/Shopify. They don't crash if you go on Shark Tank.
Yeah.
But that's unfortunate. I heard you got so much more traffic than had been allocated. You just weren't expecting it, that the system couldn't handle it, right?
Yeah, that's exactly true. But we can handle it now. We've beefed it up again.
All right. Well, where should people go if they want to try out your product? Give them the link, give them the social media, tell them what to do.
SaavyNaturals.com, Saavy with 2 A's. SAAVY naturals.com and or shop in Huntington Beach and Whole Foods and Ulta and a lot of others.
Yeah, and we're Saavy Naturals on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, Instagram. Saavy Naturals with 2 A's, like Hugo just said.
Are you going to open up any more stores, or is Huntington Beach the flagship premier destination location?
Our plan is to open more stores. That's our flagship store. We need to talk to Barbara. She's an incredible real estate tycoon. And hopefully we're going to have one in Columbus Circles in New York City.
Oh, wow. Very cool. Very exciting. Well, you two have been phenomenal. You did not disappoint. I just want to say thank you for coming and sharing your experience and your story with my audience. And I'm really excited to find out how high you're able to make this business soar. It sounds like you've got everything you need. You've got Barbara in your back pocket, and the sky's the limit, right?
Right.
It is.
Thanks for having us, TJ.
And it's an honor to be in your place. And thank you. Really appreciate it. And thank you all your listeners that are interested in our story.
Well, Hugo, before you go, what kind of gifts do you buy for Christmas or anniversaries? I need some ideas. I think you probably are the right person to ask here.
A beautiful basket from Saavy Naturals.
Okay. Well played, my friend. Well played. All right. Well, you two have been great. Thank you so much, and best of luck to you.
Thank you so much, TJ.
Thank you for jumping in to the Shark Tank podcast. Please subscribe to the show on iTunes and head over to sharktankpodcast.net to get the show notes from each episode and join the free Shark Tank Insiders list. You can also find us on Instagram and Facebook at Shark Tank Podcast and on Twitter at Shark Tank PDcast.